Check 1, 2.
Yeah. But,
Check 1, 2. Check on line 3, please. Is this better?
Welcome to another exciting episode.
Sorry,
Pondering Psalm.
nodded off.
We've been doing this for 6 hours. I'm not surprised. Your face is kind of in the dark.
I know. I moved my computer over here. Now it's dark. How about now?
Yeah, that's better. Welcome to Pondering Psalms, and today we're taking a look at Psalm 98, and I'm here with my good friend
Kurt Austin and my good friend
David Mullins.
There we are.
And so let's jump in. What did you think, Kurt? I think this is one that you liked.
I'm tired of all this happiness. I'm tired.
Happiness and joy. I'm over it.
I did. I liked it. I liked the imagery that was used in this. I read it in the NLT, which is what you'll have probably up on the screen, but I also went back and read it in the Revised Standard Version because I just wanted to see how it was different. It wasn't too different. It was fairly close, but I like the wording in the NLT a little bit better, so I'm glad we're using that today. Felt like it, and I've got it propped up here just so I can see my scribbles in my notes here in the Bible, because I do take notes in my Bible. I know I would have gotten in trouble in second grade.
Oh yeah.
But, now it's my Bible. I bought it. I can write as many notes in it as I want.
Second grade, you didn't know how to write, so.
Mrs. Green, I can do anything I want with my Bible now. Lily Green.
I do have a little bit. This isn't really trivia, but maybe it is. And maybe you know this. What Christmas song was literally based on this psalm?
It's Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh man, how'd you get that? Because
it talks about he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Oh wait, that's a different psalm. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Should I share that now, or should I?
Let everybody know.
Joy to the World.
Yeah. Who wrote it?
Watts.
Isaac
Watts. So, and it's, once you hear that, it's fairly evident, especially as you head on down the psalm. But it starts with "Sing a new song to the Lord, for He has done wonderful deeds." I mean, it's a great way to start really anything.
Yeah, this psalm, for those of you who've already read it for the last week with us and are kind of following along, this psalm is really puts you in the mind that we need to make our worship just a little bit bigger, right? It's not the similar song that you're familiar with, the song from old. This is a new song. I mean, write something brand new, something's not even been sung before, and go all in.
And because God's continuing to do a new thing.
Yeah.
So a new song. And I'm not sure when you say go bigger, you're talking about like, the current worship. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but all the new songs coming up and we get so tired of them so quickly. And then you have the old hymns that, like Joy to the World, that has been around for, a few years.
A few years. Yeah, a few hundred years.
Yeah. Which is really interesting, isn't it? A few hundred years. And even some of the new worship is using that song. So they're actually singing an old song in a new way. Do you think that would be okay with this psalm as well?
Yeah, I think this psalm allows us to not have any parameters or boundaries on what you want to do with your worship.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I mean, go all in. I mean, if you need to get up and dance, do it.
Yeah.
If you need to beat, on the desk, whatever you need to do it. Whatever it is, but it's not just for the sake of the music.
Yeah.
It's the sake of worshiping God and giving thanks for what He's done. The right hand that's won mighty victory.
Yeah. And verse 2, or actually it's verse 3, that is really, I think, in focus here. That He has remembered His promise to love and be faithful to Israel. He has remembered His promise. because sometimes it seems like God's not real quick to fulfill, his promises.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe we think that God's forgotten his promise.
I am always, and certainly in all the Psalms that we've been reading, the 400 years in enslavement in Israel, 40 years of wandering the desert where people didn't even get in to see the promised land. All of that then is generations that have passed. If you think 40 years is a generation, kind of how you measure that, 10 generations passed in Egypt. Another generation passed in the wilderness, and that's a long time. It's hard. It would be really hard to say, boy, God is faithful, because my mother died, and my grandmother died, and my great grandmother died, and my great great grandma. And you run down this list. None of them saw this promise.
Yeah, yeah. And if Kurt and I are doing a new thing, pondering passages, and we did that last week, and we looked at Luke 1:18, where the angel told Zechariah, your prayer has been answered. And I kind of wondered, because he was kind of surprised, how will I know this is true? And I kind of wonder if he hadn't thought that maybe, God wasn't going to fulfill that.
Right.
And we see that in other places with Abraham in Genesis. You take matters into your own hands. Because you think that maybe God's forgotten, or maybe you misunderstood him.
But I do think that's a good reminder for us that the timing is not ours. And just we're in the period of this COVID, we're waiting for a vaccine to come out, and we're waiting for this. And what if we were in, and God forbid that we were in this situation for another 20 years where the vaccine really doesn't do what it's supposed to do? How faithful are we going to be to God, who is always faithful to us?
Yeah.
Even though we aren't seeing it by March, or by, June, or, whatever the date is we want to have as our answer to prayer.
Yes. I have some thoughts, but I don't think I want to dive down into them here.
Okay. All right.
Well, and I guess to try to do it succinctly is, we're always asking God, why aren't you faithful to us in fulfilling your promises? But does that go both ways?
Huh? Yeah. Fine. Turn it back on us if you want. But
well, you mentioned the 40 years in the wilderness. Well, it didn't have to be that way.
That's exactly right.
That's the point. It doesn't have to be that way. And so for 40 years, I'm thinking God would be well within right to say, you know what, guys, it didn't have to be this way.
Yeah. And that is true. That is true through many of the stories.
Yes.
I was just reading, there's a book called Who Will Be My Witness, or Who Will Be a Witness?
Okay.
But he tells a beautiful story about Jesus coming over the mount and looking at Jerusalem before he enters in his very last time, and how he weeps.
Yeah. That
they will not turn to him, to God, and follow God's. And because of that, so much suffering and so much destruction. And he says, if only you would listen and only you would repent, then this wouldn't happen. But
exactly. Yeah.
As it is, this is going to be the case. And I do think that's the story from Old Testament all the way to New Testament to today.
It's a relationship. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
It really does. And so here the psalmist is saying that God has remembered his promise to love and be faithful to Israel. That is what this is. His victory is about fulfilling that promise. His power is about fulfilling that promise. And so, shout to the Lord, all the earth, break out and in praise and sing for joy. Sing your praise to the Lord with the harp and melodious songs. So, it's a certain kind of song.
So some of us shouldn't be singing. Just you can play the harp, but you really shouldn't be singing necessarily.
Trumpets, sounds of the ram's horn, make a joyful symphony before the Lord the King. And you can just hear, it's like the heart of the psalmist is bursting forth. And he's like, how can you not be shouting and breaking out? Let the praise break out, because God has been faithful to his promise.
Yeah, and there's been there has been a lot of, there have been people who have kind of poo-pooed poo-poo. Is that the right word? The
It's never the right word.
more of the enthusiastic branches of religion, where there's this more of this, but the breaking out in praise, you know, and the symphony before the Lord. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, it's not just a minor, you know, let me play a few chords on my guitar.
Right.
It's really letting it loose.
And there's some stereotypes as far as
Sure.
you know, Eastern worship and stuff, and but maybe the issue isn't with them. Maybe the issue is with us Westerners that need to be from time to time prim and proper and not cause a scene. You know, so instead you just break out and you let the praise just be a joyful response to what God is doing. The Lord, the King.
The King, and I have that underlined in my Bible, because that was just a really cool phrase to me. You know, that idea that we are honoring the one who should be ruling us, the one who has been able to love us, remembering us and loving us, has been faithful.
And it's not just us, it's all the earth. All the earth is to break out in praise and sing for joy. And as he moves on, he starts talking about all the earth, you know, the sea and everything in it, the earth and all living things join in, all living things, not just humanity, but everything.
Well, didn't Jesus say, you know, I mean, if you won't praise me, these rocks
cry out. Yeah. And let the rivers clap.
Yeah.
Get the pronunciation correct there.
I just heard it. Clap, poo-poo and poo-poo.
I know.
Clap their hands.
I know.
And clap their hands in glee. I mean, that is just so beautiful. Let the rivers clap their hands in glee.
You know, something hit me. You know, a lot of times, you know, in translations, you miss something because of the difference in years. But you know what? Clapping. I mean, that's always, as far as I know, that's always been a certain symbol. And I don't know, and I haven't done study on this. I don't know if that's in all cultures, which is, I mean, if it would be, it's a very interesting thing, because other than laughing and smiling and those types of emotions, you know, there's not a lot of things that are the same in all cultures.
Now, I will say, before you go too far into this, that the RSV does not use reverse clap.
What does it use?
And I don't, it's on my phone, which I'm using over there on the wall to light this beautiful side of my face. So I can't really look it up, but it was,
I can look it up.
It was something about streams, but it didn't have anything about clapping, because I looked that up because I was like, oh, that is beautiful. I hope that's consistent.
The New Revised Standard says roar.
Yeah.
Roar.
The rivers roar, or the streams.
Yeah. It means to rage, roar, thunder, cause to thunder. And, you know, I think what the translators are getting to there, you know, when you're sitting by a river, sometimes doesn't it sound like clapping, applause, or roaring? I mean, there's this certain sound. So I think that's maybe what they're getting at with glee, in glee.
Yeah.
And the hills are alive.
Every time I read it this week, that it was in my head. Every time. Let the hills sing.
It didn't cross my mind until just this moment. And I thought,
we were in college, we go, the hills are alive and they're gonna get you. And
the hills have eyes.
But if in fact they are, all of creation is responding to God, then in fact the hills are alive, and they're, you know, they are responding. They're singing their joyful song before the Lord.
Yeah.
But why? This is it. Then when you get to verse 9, though, the question is, why are they doing this? Partly because he's King and Lord. They've seen the victory of our God, but it goes back to what we've been studying the last few weeks, that he's going to judge the world with justice, with fairness. So righteousness and justice.
you know, a lot of times I get a sense that when we talk about the Lord judging or God judging or Jesus judging, it's almost like a negative connotation. But here's the thing. Do you want justice?
Oh yeah, I mean, if anybody who's going to be judged, you want it to be fair. I mean, and
Well,
we're
no,
all
I
gonna
mean,
be
just
judged.
in general, just in general. Is
Oh,
there like
sure.
this deep
Yeah.
sense or deep yearning for justice, just for justice? But here's the thing that I sent, you know, sometimes we talk about judging and in a negative place, but that's the only way you get justice. And we all want justice. I think whenever we hear you know, things that are opposite of justice, the things that are unjust, there's something within us. It's like, man, that's not right.
Yeah.
Someone needs to do
Yeah.
something about that. Why is there so much joy here? Because it's like someone is doing something about it. The Lord is coming to judge the earth, and he won't just judge it with justice. He will also judge the nations with fairness.
You know, and I think that's part of the thing that we're struggling, you and I are struggling with this time period, and why a lot of people have struggled over the course of the United States history, and well, the world's history, is because you talk about the Christians being fed to the lions,
Yeah.
or you know, or the first martyrs, or even the disciples, how they all died horrible deaths.
Yes.
And none of that was fair or just, and yet their faith was fully in God.
Yeah.
And the same is true with our culture where we are today, and what we're going through is that people are still looking for that righteousness and justice, and we may have to keep waiting for a long time.
And that's why there is so much joy. And because God will come through. He does come through. And that's why I believe that Isaac Watts used, you know, Psalm 98, joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her king. Yeah. What's the rest of it?
Let every I can't believe we don't have it up. Let every heart prepare room.
That, I think that is a key in this. And that's what we're getting for.
And
Are we
nature sing?
Yeah. Are we preparing room for him in our lives and in our heart? Because when we do, we experience him coming with that justice, with that fairness. And, you know, even if things outside of us are not the way they should be, we still know that the Lord is king and he is leading us in justice,
yeah,
and fairness and righteousness.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've once again blew out our time.
Well, if I hadn't told that story about, yeah, you have to. You got to take that whole story out.
No, I don't think I can fix it in post.
That was just too bad. We can't do it. We're just gonna burn the tape.
Yeah, no. So, hey, Kurt, it was great talking about this. It really is a great psalm. I encourage everyone listening and watching to dive into it and just live in it for a while. You know, don't just read it and then pass it on. Just live in it for a while. Yeah. And we will see you next time you watch.
Next time you watch. Next time we post.
Yeah.
Keep commenting. Keep liking. Keep clicking. And next week's 99.
99.
I know.
It's a get smart reference.
Never saw it.
Oh, that's just kind of sad. It explains a lot though. So we'll see you guys later. Have a great week.
Whatever you're having, have a great one.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys. You know, sometimes I start going down a track and I just don't know how to park the train, you know? Because I'm thinking, have a great day. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I don't know when they're watching this. It might be, you know, 11 o'clock at night. I can't wish them to have a great day because the day's over.
Have a great something. Have good supper. Good supper. All
there we go. No matter when you're having supper.